Think about the last time you came home. Maybe someone was there. Maybe no one was, but your dog was there at the door, tail going, whole body moving like it's been waiting for exactly this moment. Like your return was the best thing that's happened all day, maybe all week, and something in you, something quiet, something you might not say out loud relaxed. In a way, it doesn't always relax around people. No small talk required. No managing how you came across. No wondering if you said the wrong thing or took up too much space. Just relief. Clean, simple relief. Now, here's the question that's been appearing in psychology research, in sociology data, in quiet conversations between therapists and their clients. Is that relief becoming the primary connection in your life? And if it is, what does that mean? Are dogs becoming our replacement for human connection? Most of us have carried a comfortable story about this. The dog is beloved. The dog is family. But the dog is the dog and people are people. Two different things. Two different kinds of connection. Dogs enrich human life. They add warmth. They exist alongside the friendships, the family dinners, the relationships that do the heavier work of keeping us tethered to other people. That's been the accepted understanding for a long time. At least that's what most of us have told ourselves. But something has been changing, and the numbers, when you look at them together, tell a story that's harder to dismiss. In the last 2 decades, rates of loneliness among American adults have roughly doubled. The number of people who report having no close friends has tripled since the 1990s. At the same time, pet ownership has risen steadily. Pet industry spending has crossed $150 billion annually in the US, and surveys now show a significant and growing percentage of pet owners describe their dog as their closest relationship. Not one of their closest relationships, their closest. So the question isn't whether dogs are wonderful. We already know they are. The question is what it means that so many people are finding in their dog what they used to find or hope to find in each other. The science doesn't leave much room for doubt here. In 2023, the United States Surgeon General issued an advisory declaring loneliness a public health epidemic. Approximately half of American adults report measurable loneliness, and researchers have found that the health consequences of long-term social isolation are comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is not a small problem. It is a structural shift in how Americans are living, and dogs have moved into that space. Research consistently shows that dog ownership reduces loneliness scores in measurable ways, not just emotionally, but physiologically. Contact with a dog increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. It activates the same neural reward pathways that light up during human social connection. The brain, in other words, doesn't fully distinguish, it simply registers. Something that cares about me is near. Survey data from the Human-Animal Bond Research Institute shows that people increasingly rate their dogs as more reliably emotionally supportive than most human relationships in their lives. More reliably. Not more deeply, not more richly, more reliably. So the science confirms it. Dogs are fulfilling genuine social and emotional needs, the same needs humans use to meet primarily through each other. But here's what the research hasn't fully answered, and what most people quietly wonder but rarely ask out loud. Why dogs, specifically? What is it about this relationship that fills a space that human connection for many people no longer does? Consider a man named Thomas. He's 69, retired from the Postal Service in a mid-sized town in Indiana. His wife passed 4 years ago. His 2 sons live out of state, good men, busy lives. They call when they can. Thomas has neighbors. He goes to church most Sundays. By any external measure, he is not isolated. But when he is honest with himself, and he has gotten more honest as he has gotten older, the relationship in his life that asks the least of him and gives the most is the one he has with his dog. A 7-year-old lab mix named Henry. Henry is there when Thomas wakes up, there when he makes coffee, there in the evening when the house gets quiet in the particular way it gets quiet when you used to share it with someone and now you don't. Thomas told his son once, half joking, Henry's better company than most people I know. His son laughed. But Thomas wasn't entirely joking. And Thomas has wondered, is that okay? Is something wrong with him? Or is something wrong with the world he's living in? Thomas's question is not unusual. And the answer, which we're not ready for yet, is more complicated and more compassionate than a simple yes or no. But here's the part nobody tells you. The question isn't just whether dogs fill a social need. It's times why they fill it so well. And the psychology here is specific. Dogs offer what psychologists call non-contingent positive regard. They don't love you based on your performance, your mood, your success, or your consistency. Their attachment is remarkably stable across every variation in human behavior. You can be tired and short-tempered and unwashed and struggling, and the dog's response doesn't change. Humans, even the ones who love us, struggle to offer this reliably. We are conditional creatures. We have moods and expectations and limits. Dogs simply don't operate that way. And then there is the question of emotional labor. Human relationships require ongoing negotiation, repair after conflict, reciprocity, emotional management. The energy it takes to maintain human closeness is real, and for people who are depleted by grief, by age, by years of giving, that energy is not always available. Dogs require care, but they don't require emotional labor in the human sense. They don't need you to check in on how they're feeling about the relationship. There is also touch. Dogs provide consistent, uncomplicated physical contact, petting, presence, warmth. Research by Beetz and colleagues published in Frontiers in Psychology showed that physical contact with a dog produces measurable physiological calming, reduced heart rate, lower cortisol, a genuine shift in the nervous system towards safety. Human physical connection is often complicated by history, by expectation, by what it means and what it costs. Dog contact is not. And finally, perhaps most powerfully, there is presence without performance. With a dog, you don't have to manage how you appear. You don't have to choose your words. You don't have to hold yourself together in a particular way. This is what psychologists call unconditional positive regard, the experience of being fully seen without judgment. Carl Rogers identified it as one of the most fundamental human needs. And dogs, without trying, without understanding, provide it constantly. So dogs offer something specific: love that doesn't require you to perform, presence that doesn't demand reciprocity, touch that isn't complicated by history. For a generation of Americans living through a loneliness crisis, many of them older, many of them having outlived relationships or watching friendships quietly dissolve, that is not a small thing. Which brings us to the real question. Not whether dogs are replacing human connection, but something harder. Should we be worried about that? Or have we been too rigid about what connection is allowed to look like and what it's allowed to be? There is a version of this that becomes avoidance. Psychologists who work with isolated adults note that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the dog relationship becomes a reason not to pursue the harder, riskier work of human connection. When the dog becomes a shield against vulnerability rather than a source of support within a broader life, that is worth noticing. But that's not most people. And it's not the whole story. Because here's what researchers who study attachment and loneliness have begun to say more clearly. We have operated for a long time under the assumption that human connection is the gold standard and that everything else is a lesser substitute, dogs included. But that assumption may have always been too narrow. Humans need to feel known, need to feel safe, need to give and receive care, need the experience of mattering to something living that depends on them. Dogs fulfill every one of those needs, genuinely, measurably, not as a simulation of the real thing, as a real thing. Thomas isn't broken. He's not settling. He found something real, something that meets him where he is, without requiring him to be someone he's not. That's not a lesser version of connection. That might just be connection. So, are dogs becoming our replacement for human connection? Here is the honest answer. For some people, in some ways, yes. The loneliness data, the pet ownership data, and the neuroscience all point in the same direction. Something has shifted in how Americans find connection, and dogs are filling a space that used to be filled differently. But here is what the research also shows, and this is the part that matters most. The connection is real. It is not imagined, not projected, not a consolation prize. The oxytocin is real. The attachment is neurologically real. The reduction in loneliness is measurably real. The sense of being known, needed, and loved without condition that is as real as any version of it has ever been. Is it the same as human connection? No. Your dog can't call you when something goes wrong, can't sit across a table and share a meal and a history, can't love you back with words. But your dog can do something that many humans struggle to do consistently. It can be entirely, uncomplicatedly present every single day. Without agenda, without fatigue, without the slow drift that takes so many human relationships from close to distant over time. So if you have found in your dog a relationship that steadies you, that makes the quiet hours bearable, that gives you something to care for, and something that cares for you in return, that is not a symptom. That is a life that contains love. And love, in whatever form it arrives, is not a replacement for something real. It is the real thing. The next time someone asks if you talk to your dog and you do, and you know you do, you don't have to explain it, you found something in this world that is entirely on your side, that has never once looked at you with disappointment, that has been there quietly and without fail through the seasons of your life that were harder than anyone knew. In a world that often asks more than it gives, your dog just gives. That's not nothing. That might be everything. Do you think your dog has become one of your closest relationships? No judgment. I think you already know my answer. Leave a comment below. And if this said something you've felt but never quite heard said out loud, share it with someone who needs to hear it today.